Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to The Body Speaks. Are you listening? This is episode 11, Insomnia and Inflammation, the nervous system that never learned to rest. I'm someone who healed from rheumatoid arthritis, a condition that attacked my body when I was 27 years old. Over the years of searching and learning and doing the deep inner work, I discovered something that changed everything. The body is our alert system, and for a long time, my body had been trying to get my attention for decades before I finally understood what it was saying. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Susan, certified somatic trauma-informed coach, and the rest of my credentials are in the show notes below. Last episode, we looked at heart conditions, hormonal imbalances, hyperthyroidism, and hearing loss. 4 conditions across 4 body systems, each one a faithful expression of what the emotional and nervous system world has been carrying. If you haven't listened to that episode, please do. The heart and hormonal sections in particular speak to experiences that are almost universal in this community. I also want to mention, from this episode onward, The Body Speaks is moving to a new format. 2 conditions per episode instead of 3 or 4. Same depth, same boxes, same structure you have come to know. Just more space for each condition to breathe and fully be heard. I think you'll feel the difference. Today, 2 conditions that are more connected than they might first appear. Insomnia and inflammation. 2 conditions that affect millions of people. 2 conditions that medicine treats primarily at the symptom level. And 2 conditions that, when you understand the nervous system story beneath them, you will never see them the same way again. So let's first start talking about insomnia. Insomnia is the inability to fall asleep, to stay asleep, or to wake up feeling genuinely rested despite spending time in bed. It is one of the most common conditions in the developed world and one of the most misunderstood. Because insomnia is almost never just a sleep problem. It's a nervous system problem. And the nervous system does not forget what the mind is trying to move past. For the people who find their way to this series, insomnia often has a very specific character. It is not simply the inability to fall asleep. It is the mind that activates precisely at the moment the external world goes quiet. During the day, there are tasks, responsibilities, things to manage, and people to show up for. And the nervous system channels its hypervigilance into those activities. But at night, when the distractions disappear, what has been held beneath the surface of a busy day comes forward. The unprocessed emotion, the unresolved fear, the thoughts that have been waiting all day for the noise to stop. Insomnia in people with a trauma history is rarely a sleep disorder. It is a hypervigilance disorder that expresses itself most visibly at night. The nervous system that learned to stay alert for danger does not distinguish between the past threat and the present bedroom. It keeps watch. It stays ready. And it does not understand that the emergency is over. The research is now very clear on this connection. A nervous system stuck in chronic fight or flight produces an overactive HPA axis, the stress regulation pathway, that keeps alertness signals running even during the hours designated for rest. Brain scans of people with chronic insomnia show higher activity in areas that should be quiet at night. Their bodies, they're biologically awake when they should be asleep. This is not a willpower problem. It's not a discipline problem. It's a nervous system that has not yet received the signal that safety has arrived. There's also a specific and painful quality to insomnia in people who have lived in emotionally volatile or abusive environments. And it's worth naming directly. For many people, nighttime in that environment was not safe. Nighttime was when volatility could arrive without warning, when the atmosphere of the house just seemed to change, when a certain kind of tension announced itself. The nervous system that learned to stay alert during those nights, listening, monitoring, calculating the temperature of the environment, is the same nervous system now, lying in bed in a different house, perhaps years later, still listening, still monitoring, and still not quite believing that nothing is coming. In IFS, insomnia is often connected to a manager that's been running a night watch for years, a part that genuinely believes that letting down its guard, even for the hours of sleep, is dangerous. And underneath that manager, almost always, is an exile carrying the memory of what it was like when letting down the guard was not safe. The path through insomnia is not to fight the wakefulness. It is to help the part that is standing watch understand that it no longer needs to. So the question we're sitting with is, what is the mind still watching for at night? And if the answer is something from the past, what would it take to begin convincing the nervous system that that watch is over? Now let's talk about the chakra connection. Insomnia maps onto two energy centers, the third eye and the root. The third eye governs perception, inner knowing, and the mind's ability to process and integrate experience. When this center is overactive, when the mind cannot stop scanning, reviewing, anticipating, the quality of the third eye energy is one of agitation rather than clear. The racing thoughts, the mental loops, the reviewing of conversations and scenarios that characterizes insomniac nights is third eye energy without a ground to rest in. The root chakra governs safety, groundedness, and the fundamental sense that it's okay to be here. Insomnia rooted in hypervigilance is almost always a root chakra condition at its foundation. The body cannot rest when the root chakra's question is, am I safe? And that's been sometimes answered with a yes, and that the nervous system believes it. So the invitation before sleep tonight is to place both feet flat on the floor and literally feel the ground beneath your feet. And take 5 slow breaths and say with each exhale, I am safe. The watch is over. I'm allowed to rest. Now, I'm not saying that's going to cure your insomnia, but it's a start, and that's how it all begins. Somatic healing is wonderful for teaching your nervous system that it's safe now. Insomnia in people with trauma histories is driven primarily by nervous system hyperarousal, the chronic activation of the sympathetic branch that keeps the body in a state of alert readiness. The HPA axis continues producing stress hormones through the night, preventing the deep cortisol drop that signals the body to rest. Heart rate variability, the measure of nervous system flexibility, is significantly reduced in chronic insomnia, meaning the body has less capacity to shift between states of activation and rest. Research also shows that trying harder to sleep often makes things worse because effort itself increases arousal. The nervous system needs safety, not effort. Every somatic practice in this series, the extended exhale, the vagus nerve breath, the hand on the heart, works directly with the nervous system that keeps the night awake, not as a sleep trick, but as communication, letting it know the emergency is over and you can rest now. Insomnia, when it is chronic and resistant to standard interventions, often carries a life lesson about the relationship between rest and safety, and specifically about learning to build from the inside out. a sense of safety that does not depend on external conditions being perfect before the body is allowed to let go. The recurring question is, what would help the part of you that is still on watch to believe that tonight is different? Not to be told to relax, but genuinely reassured in the language of the nervous system that the threat it learned to watch for is not here anymore. Learning to connect with what your body is telling you is the first step. Magnesium glycinate supports the nervous system and sleep quality directly. A consistent bedtime routine teaches the nervous system predictability, and predictability is safety. In the somatic practices throughout this series, used consistently in the hour before bed, will begin to shift the nervous system from alert to receptive over time. Now let's talk about inflammation. Inflammation is the body's most fundamental protective response. When tissue is damaged or threatened by injury, infection, or a perceived threat, the immune system sends inflammatory signals to the site, increasing blood flow, mobilizing immune cells, and beginning to repair. Acute inflammation is a sign of the body working exactly as it should. It is chronic inflammation, the inflammatory response that does not switch off, that runs at a low grade continuously throughout the body without a specific injury to address. Now that is the problem. And the single most significant driver of chronic inflammation, beyond diet and environmental toxins, is chronic emotional stress. The ACE study, one of the largest investigations into the long-term health effects of adverse childhood experiences, found a direct dose-dependent relationship between the number of adverse experiences in childhood and the likelihood of developing chronic inflammatory conditions as an adult. More adversity, more inflammation. The body keeps the account. Chronic inflammation is not the body attacking itself randomly. It is the immune system responding faithfully to an internal environment of sustained threat. When the nervous system signals danger continuously, as it does in people living with or recovering from chronic emotional stress, trauma, or abuse, the inflammatory response stays active because as far as the body's concerned, the emergency never ended. Cortisol in healthy amounts is actually anti-inflammatory. The body produces it in part to regulate the inflammatory response. But when cortisol is chronically elevated, as it is in sustained stress, the cells of the immune system eventually become cortisol resistant, and the anti-inflammatory regulation breaks down. The result is systemic chronic inflammation that contributes to cardiovascular disease, autoimmune conditions, metabolic disorders, chronic pain, brain fog, and accelerated aging. For people who have lived in emotionally abusive or coercively controlling relationships, the inflammatory picture is particularly significant. Research consistently shows that people with histories of emotional abuse, domestic violence, and coercive control have measurably higher inflammatory markers than those without those histories. C-reactive proteins and other markers of systemic inflammation are elevated in proportion to the severity and duration of the relational stress. The body registered what was happening even when the mind was minimizing it. Louise Hay connects inflammation to fear, seeing red, inflamed thinking, and I want to offer the most compassionate reading of this. The anger and fear that were never allowed safe expression in a volatile or controlling relationship did not disappear. They went internal and suppressed emotion, particularly suppressed anger, which requires the body to hold and contain rather than release. And that contributes directly to the chronic internal environment that sustains inflammation. In my case, after 10 years of marriage, my body began alerting me that I was living in fight, flight, and freeze far more than I had ever allowed myself to acknowledge. The anger I did not express, the resentment I held quietly, the fear that was always there beneath the surface. All of it went somewhere. And in those 10 years of marriage, I turned 27 after 10 years of being married, and that became what my body alerted me to. My immune system turned on my own healthy cells as if the inside of me was fighting the battle I was not yet willing or felt strong enough to fight on the outside. My body was not attacking me. It was sounding every siren it had. It was saying, this is not how we are meant to carry these emotions. I wish I had known then what I know now. That what I felt as an external and internal attack was in fact my body's most desperate attempt to be heard. If you are living with an autoimmune condition, I want you to consider this. Your body is not your enemy. It is the most loyal ally you have, and it has been trying desperately to tell you something important for a very long time. In IFS, chronic inflammation is often connected to a system that has been in a state of sustained emergency management for years. Every part on high alert, every resource redirected toward threat response. In the body, reflecting the internal state of the system, running the same emergency chemistry in the tissue and the bloodstream. So the question worth sitting with is, where in my body do I feel the most chronic heat and pain or resistance? And what emotion has lived closest to that place for the longest time? The chakra connection is the solar plexus, which governs personal power, will, and the metabolic fire of the body. Chronic inflammation, the fire that does not go out, is solar plexus energy expressed at a physiological level. Suppressed anger, suppressed personal power, the chronic effort of holding back what needed to be expressed. All of this accumulates in the solar plexus and creates exactly the internal environment in which inflammatory processes thrive. It's also in the sacral chakra, which centers around emotion, creativity, and the fluid movement of feeling through the body. When emotion is chronically suppressed rather than allowed to move, the sacral chakra becomes congested, and the body's natural anti-inflammatory capacity, which requires the nervous system to be in a state of relative ease, is compromised. So the invitation would be to place your hand on your solar plexus, breathe warmth into it, and ask, what emotion has been held here the longest without being given a voice? The relationship between chronic stress and systemic inflammation is one of the most well-documented connections in psychoneuroimmunology. Cortisol resistance, the immune system's loss of sensitivity to cortisol's anti-inflammatory signals after prolonged exposure to elevated levels, is the primary mechanism by which chronic stress drives chronic inflammation. People with histories of adverse childhood experiences, emotional abuse, and domestic violence have measurably higher inflammatory markers, including C-reactive proteins. The ACE study found a direct dose-dependent relationship between childhood adversity and adult inflammatory disease. Suppressed anger specifically has been shown to reduce natural killer cell activity and increase pro-inflammatory production. The emotion that was never expressed did not disappear. It became part of the internal chemistry. In the internal chemistry, when it changes through somatic work, through safe expression, through nervous system regulation, changes the inflammatory environment with it. Chronic inflammation, particularly when it persists despite dietary and lifestyle changes, often carries a life lesson about expression, specifically about learning to give the body's suppressed emotional content a safe, chosen, conscious outlet. The recurring question is, what has been burning inside that was never allowed to be spoken? And what would it feel like to begin giving it a voice? Not necessarily to the person who caused the suppression, but to a journal, a therapist, a trusted person, or even to an empty room, so that the body no longer has to carry it in the tissue. In my own experience, the inflammation did not arrive randomly across my body. As I look back now, I can see that it was concentrated most heavily in my hands and my wrists. And when I began to understand the body's language, that precision stopped feeling random and started feeling precise. The right hand in the body's emotional language is often connected to not letting go, to needing to control things, to the relentless energy of always giving and never stopping. The left hand is often about absorbing other people's emotional weight, holding back your own emotions, and not being willing to receive from others, or feeling that you don't deserve it. Together, the hands speak of powerlessness, of being in a position or relationship that feels completely impossible to change, a frustration so deep and so long held that the body eventually crystallizes it in the very place where action, expression, and giving and receiving all live. I felt chained to my relationship as if I were a hostage in a world I could not find the exit from. In my hands, the hands that gave and absorbed and held back and gripped and never let go, became the place where my body stored that story. If your inflammation has a location, I would gently invite you to sit with that location and ask, what does this particular place in my body understand about what I have been carrying? Learning to connect with what your body's telling you is the first step. An anti-inflammatory diet rich in omega-3 fatty acids, colorful vegetables, and fermented foods directly addresses the inflammatory environment. Turmeric and ginger have research behind them as natural anti-inflammatories, and the nervous system regulation practices throughout this series address inflammation at the level of its deeper driver, the stress response that never turned off. Two conditions today, both of them expressions of the same underlying truth, a nervous system that learned to stay alert, that learned to keep the fire burning, that learned that rest and ease were not available, and that has been faithfully living out that learning ever since. Insomnia is the night watch that does not know the emergency is over. Inflammation is the fire that was never told it was safe to go out. The healing for both begins in the same place, not in a supplement or a sleep protocol or an elimination diet, though all of those things have their place. It begins in the body's growing, gradually deepening, cell by cell experience of safety, real safety, felt safety, the kind that teaches the nervous system slowly through repetition, through every somatic practice and every moment of genuine rest, that the world it is living in now is not the world it learned to survive in then. God, the universe and source, the intelligence that designed the body's capacity for rest and repair, that wired the immune system to heal when the threat passes, that placed within every nervous system the capacity to learn safety just as it learned danger. That intelligence is available to you in every slow exhale, in every moment you choose to be gentle with a body that has been working hard for a really long time. You are not broken. You are a nervous system that learned exactly what it needed to learn, and you are learning something new now. Now, if you're ready, let's begin your guided meditation. Find a comfortable position. both feet on the floor if you can, and both hands open in your lap. And close your eyes if that feels safe to do so. And let's take one slow breath in through your nose and a long, complete exhale through your mouth, letting the exhale be longer than the inhale. And go ahead and do 2 more breaths just like that. Each exhale a little longer, maybe even a sigh as you exhale. Each one a small signal to the nervous system. The emergency is over. Letting your mind, your body, and your nervous system know you can begin to rest. Now bring your awareness gently inward and notice somewhere in your body or your mind the part that stays alert, the part that keeps watch, the one that does not fully settle even when everything around you is quiet. You don't need to locate it precisely, just sense its presence. The part of you that has been standing guard for a very long time. And then from your higher self, from the calm, wise, steady part of you that has always been here, go ahead and speak to it and say, I see you. I know how long you have been doing this. I know what you were watching for. And I know why you learned to watch for it. You were protecting something important. And I want you to know you did your job faithfully. You kept us here. And breathe. And now, gently from the same place of warmth, say, I am here now. I'm paying attention. You don't have to watch alone anymore. And tonight, in this moment, there's nothing coming. You're allowed to rest. Just for now. You can put the watch down. I've got this. And breathe. Now scan your body and notice what happens as those words land. Even the smallest softening is real. Even 1 degree of release is the beginning of something. And now we're going to send the nervous system a direct signal, not through words, through the body itself. Place one hand on your heart and feel the steady rhythm beneath your palm. This heartbeat has kept you alive through everything. Through every difficult night, every moment of fear, every year of carrying more than you should have. It has not stopped once. Now breathe directly into your hand. 4 counts in, hold for 2, and 8 counts out. Let the exhale be twice as long as the inhale. And as your hand is over your heart, feel yourself breathing into it, going into your lungs. 4 counts in, holding for 2, and 8 counts out. 3 full cycles. This extended exhale is activating the vagus nerve, the pathway of your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest branch. With every long exhale, you are sending a biological signal that the threat has passed. The body can begin to downregulate. The fire can begin to cool. Now let's do it again. 3 more breaths, each exhale a little longer than the last. Breathing in, holding, and releasing. Feeling your hand over your heart, letting your lungs and your belly expand, and perhaps even sighing when you let out that long exhale. Doing 3 cycles. Now scan your body slowly from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. And notice where there's any tension, any heat, any bracing or holding. And as you are still breathing and exhaling, offer that place a single quiet message. When you exhale, offer it this beautiful message. You are safe now. Breathing in and exhaling, you are allowed to soften. Breathing in and exhaling, the emergency is over. Now move through your body at your own pace. The crown of your head, your forehead, down into your jaw, moving through your throat and your shoulders, feeling your chest and your belly and your lower back, noticing how it feels in your hips and your legs, and even your feet and your toes. And speak this final thing to the infinite intelligence within you, to God, to the universe, to Source. I am giving my body permission to rest. I am giving my immune system permission to stand down from emergency. I am giving my nervous system the signal it has been waiting for. That the world it is living in now is safe enough to let go. Not completely, not all at once, but one breath at a time, beginning right now. And just feel this wonderful, beautiful, peaceful feeling flow through your entire body as your nervous system relaxes into safety. And take one final breath all the way in and a long, slow, complete exhale, letting yourself come back to the present time. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Insomnia and inflammation, 2 conditions. 1, nervous system that learned in a very specific circumstance that rest was not available and that the fire needed to stay burning, and a body that has been faithfully living that learning ever since. The healing is not in fighting either of them. It is in beginning, 1 breath and 1 session in 1 small moment of genuine safety at a time, to teach the nervous system something new. Next episode, episode 12, we continue with IBS and immune system dysregulation, 2 more conditions that share a root in the nervous system and the gut-brain connection, and that deserve the full conversation we could not give them here. See you next time. You can find me every week here, offering you a safe place to land. If today named something your body has been trying to tell you for years, this work goes much deeper in one-to-one sessions. If you are interested in that, my information is in the show notes below. Remember, the doctor dresses the wound, and the infinite healing intelligence within you does the rest. If you would be so kind to leave a comment and tell me if insomnia or inflammation, if they spoke something to you today, which one landed the most. I read every comment, and your words help shape what comes next in this series. If The Body Speaks is helping you understand your body, I hope that you will subscribe if you haven't already so that you never miss an episode. And if you'd be so kind to leave a thumbs up, a comment, and share with others, I would greatly appreciate it. Remember, my friend, your body has always been on your side. Till next week, love and hugs.